I can still see. Howdy, y'all. I didn't really think about talking about it on YouTube because I've been so swallowed into Twitter and seeing everything unfold on my Twitter. And wow, my voice has never cracked that bad before.
Knock, knock.
Hello?
You're talking to. Oh,
Everything unfolding on Twitter. I've been seeing stuff on Instagram and I've been reposting stuff on Instagram. But I realized that my biggest following was on YouTube, so I never talked about it on YouTube. I didn't sit down and make a video about any of this. And you guys probably think I'm being silent or anything, and that's not the case. I just was using every other platform that I have. But this is quite a lot to take in. I never thought that this would happen while I'm alive. I never thought that we would be in a middle of basically a civil movement. I'm glad that I'm seeing change right now, because if we weren't, it would just make me more angry. It would make everybody else more angry. It would probably make everything a lot worse. So let me start with this. I am too broke to donate any money because college has literally wiped me out clean. All of my savings are gone. But every time I see a protest, well, I'm watching all the peaceful protests turn violent, but whenever I see a petition, like someone bring out a petition, if it's a new one, I'm signing. If it's not a new one, I try to sign again. I've been literally signing them left and right, because it doesn't feel right for me to just not do anything, especially when I can do so much. I also went to a protest. This was quite an experience. It was quite a scary time too, for two reasons. One, because we're still in the middle of a pandemic. They didn't find a cure for this, as far as I know. So that means people could still get sick. And second part is that I have pretty bad anxiety. I don't really like being around a bunch of crowds, especially now that we still have a pandemic and people weren't wearing their masks the entire time. I didn't like being that close to people for that long, but at the same time, I'm glad that I went to these protests and we got something to happen. Or the protests themselves got something to happen, because if we weren't speaking up, we probably wouldn't be having any change happen. My parents were definitely not very happy to let me go to a protest, because of the coronavirus, but also because of my safety, which makes sense because I'm a pretty fragile, tiny little girl. If someone were to try to hurt me, I would probably break, let alone not even survive it. But it wasn't, thankfully where I am, the protest itself wasn't violent. It didn't turn into riots like you've been seeing all over the internet. It was peaceful. The cops were there to actually maintain the peace and not, cause a riot. We got the chief of police from where I am to talk and walk with us, or march with us, whichever word I think sounds better. And it went well. There's still protests going on, but since I'm paranoid about the coronavirus and possibly haven't contacted it because a lot of people weren't wearing masks, I'm staying my little tail inside for a while, but I would definitely 1,000% do it again. I think the worst part of this protest was walking towards it, and me and my brother, I went with my brother, I went with my close friend and her cousin, so it wasn't like I'm going alone, but as we were walking towards it, some old white man screamed at us out of his window that he hopes we die and called us coons, and that's honestly the worst of the racism I've ever experienced. Personally, I'm glad it's never been worse, but I just wish it didn't exist to begin with, much like most of all of us. But that protest was really quite an experience, and I never thought that I'd be in a time where I would go and experience that. I never went to, my camera is shaking, oh my god, my whole family literally just hard-footed. I've wanted to go to pride parades. My parents would not really let me go to those for the same reason, because of what's it called, the safety aspect. So I mean, I guess I really can't complain. I'm surprised they let me go to this. I don't like that people are staying silent, but I really do hope that people take this time, if they're not already educated about what's going on, to educate themselves. I really hope that people are signing petitions, donating if they can. I would hate to have kids and they still have to go through this, and my grandkids that I eventually have to go through this, and maybe great grandkids. You know, like, I don't want this to be like a continuous battle. Like, it doesn't make sense to me why this still exists, like why racism still has to be a thing. I also voted the same day of this protest, which is pretty crazy because where I am, we had our primary elections. I literally have the envelope in which it came in to me right here. But since I didn't, send it in the mail earlier that morning, I had to go drive and put it in like the voting box thing. Hopefully we can get Orange Man out of office. I just kind of felt like talking and ranting for like a split second, so I apologize if nobody really wanted to hear me talk and like not make sense for however long I've been talking. But yeah, this is my 2 cents. This is what I've been doing. I will be linking petitions and donations in the description box for you guys to sign if you haven't already, and donate if you can. I'm not going to be like everybody else, like, if you're not donating, you have a problem, because not everybody has money. Especially nowadays when people have lost their jobs due to the... It's just, the situation has gone mad, but I digress. There's a lot of things going on. It's Pride Month, so on top of racism, there's probably going to be homophobic people pulling up and trying to throw a fit. I'm seeing a lot of stuff on, not Snapchat, on Twitter too, about people are starting to speak up and talk more about sexual assault and rapes. So that's a lot, but this is what happens in the world, and we need to address it, and we need to I don't know what word I'm trying to say. But yeah, hopefully we will start to see more change happening as the year goes on, as the decade goes on, as life goes on, because I would hate to be back at square one over and over and over again, fighting for the same things that we shouldn't have had to fight for to begin with. So yeah, thanks for listening if you did. I'll see you guys in the next video.